What's going on, everybody? Jason here, and today I've got this 2022 Infiniti QX55 Essential ProAssist. Right before we jump into this QX55, if you guys are enjoying these types of videos, please be sure to smash that subscribe button, as it does help out with the YouTube algorithm, and of course it also helps support the channel. With that being said, let's jump into this QX55 and take a look at the different trims that you can get. There's 3 different trim levels that you can pick from. The first one is your QX55 Luxe. Second one is this one that you're looking at, the QX55 Essential ProAssist, or you can go with the QX55 Sensory. And each of these trim levels will have their own unique features and options because there's no particular packages that you can add on. It just depends on the trim level that you pick. When it comes to the safety features of this Essential ProAssist, you're going to be getting some extra safety features compared to the Luxe, and then if you end up going with the Sensory, you're going to have a few more. So for this particular one, you're going to be getting predictive forward collision warning, forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, around view monitor with moving object detection, intelligent cruise control, blind spot warning, lane departure warning, rear automatic braking, and your rear cross traffic alert. Starting things off in the front of this QX55, you can see how nice Infiniti has made this, because if you compare it to the QX50, which this pretty much is just a whole different exterior, the interior stays the same, and a few other things that I'll touch on. But just looking at the front, it just looks really aggressive because you got this nice chrome aluminum grille, and especially the grille insert alone makes your head turn on this vehicle. And you've got your Infiniti badge in the front as well. Also above the Infiniti badging, you do have a forward camera as well hidden away in your grille. Underneath the grille, you can see your sensors and all of that in the gloss black finish around it. Even around your LED fog light housing, you've got this nice aesthetic touch in the gloss black finish, which just looks way better than the QX50, of course. And you can't forget about these amazing headlights. Now, once you get into the Essential ProAssist and the Sensory, these front headlights will be your cube design LED headlights with auto levelizer. So if you look closely inside of the headlight housing, you've got this, obviously the cube design, which just looks amazing, and you're not going to get this on the Luxe package, but regardless, you'll still have LED lighting, and also it's adaptive front lighting as well, which is perfect, especially for nighttime driving. Now, if you take a look at the QX55 from the side, this is another distinctive design that's different from the QX50. As you can see, with the QX55, Infiniti decided to go sportier coupe SUV style, which I think looks way better. The only drawback is you lose about 2 inches of headroom space in the back, but really you're not going to notice that. And with this design, rather than it being the traditional SUV look, it ends up looking more modern. Also, as you can see, you've got your blacked out side mirrors with the turn signals. Also, your exterior mirrors have cameras built in, which I'll show you once we get inside, along with the chrome bezeling around the window trim. Up top, you also have your roof rails, of course, and you have chrome on your door handles, along with them being body color. Also in the front, you do have another chrome piece, which I think looks way better rather than keeping it just plain. And you can't forget about these unique set of wheels. These are your 20-inch dark painted with the machine finish aluminum alloy, and as you can see, with this vehicle already having tons of gloss black, these wheels complement it perfectly. You also have the option of upgrading them if you like. As you make your way to the rear of the QX55, here's when you start realizing even more of the aggressiveness of this vehicle. Not only the front looks aggressive, but as you just see the rear and how you have the sharp lining and the designing and everything about it from the rear end makes it even better. And you can't forget about these massive rear tail lights. If you look closely, these are kind of in a 3D type of a design, which makes it stand out even more. And of course, you've got your Infiniti badging in the center there with the Infiniti lettering, along with your other badging, all-wheel drive, and your QX55 badging. Underneath, you've got this black plastic piece, of course, with your sensors built in, just like the front, along with the bottom portion being body color and your dual chrome exhaust tips. Opening up the rear and seeing how much space you have in this, you actually have a decent amount of room. But obviously, if you're comparing this to the QX50, yes, the QX50 does have a little bit more space, but in my opinion, I don't think it's really that noticeable because you can still fit a ton of stuff in here. And if that wasn't enough, you can obviously fold down the rear seats to have more cargo room in the back. Over on the left side, you've just got a hook, and then of course to fold down the rear seat, and a 12-volt adapter. On the other side, you just have this light at the back, and of course to fold down the other side of the rear seats. And you do have a little bit more room once you go ahead and lift up the carpeted area. Entering into the rear of the QX55, you can see how nice and clean clean the door trim area looks, because you've got majority of the door trim covered in leather, with the bottom section being of course in plastic. You do have some space at the bottom, and then your speaker next to that. You also have a smaller speaker up top. Now this one does have the standard 16 speaker Bose sound system, which is amazing. And throughout the whole vehicle, you're gonna see with this particular interior a lot of this dark aluminum interior trim accent, which I think doesn't overdo it, but instead, just like the exterior, this complements the interior as well. As for your rear seats, like I mentioned, this whole interior is full of leather, and you can see just how comfortable these seats look, and they actually are very comfortable. But not only that, you can move these seats front and back, and also they recline as well, which I think is crazy to think about in a vehicle like this, because not only do your front passengers get to have their own unique setup with their seats, also the rear passengers can do the same thing and be super comfortable. And of course, in the center there, once you fold down the center handrest, it does expose two cup holders for the rear. As for behind the driver and passenger seats, you can see the top section in full leather, but then the middle section is plastic. You also have two matte pockets as well for that additional storage. As for the rear center console area, not only do you have of course your two vents, but you also have a 12-volt adapter and a USB port as well. Now I wish that they added an extra one or maybe two, rather than just having one for the rear passengers. Making your way to the front of the QX55, just like the rear door trim, this one is the exact same. You've got a little bit more room at the bottom, along with a speaker right next to it and one up top as well. You've got your full leather handrest, accompanied by your typical window controls and your side mirror controls, along with more of that dark aluminum interior trim, and you also have your memory seating at the front. As for the front seats, exactly like the rear, they're fully leather and they're also comfortable, while you enjoy your heated seats in the front, which you also get. When it comes to the interior options, the color wise and stuff like that, you can get the graphite leather with your dark aluminum interior, which this one is, or you can get the stone leather with the dark aluminum interior. And I think this looks way better in my opinion. It just gives it that classier look, especially with this aluminum finishes that you have inside of the vehicle. Also, your front seats are power adjustable, which makes life so convenient. Down below, nothing too fancy, just your foot pedals, and up top on the left side, you do have your hood latch release. As you make your way above that, you've got all of your lighting controls, fog light controls, light dimmers, your tailgate open and close, parking sensors, and all of your safety features right there. Also, your steering wheel, not only is it a heated steering wheel, but also a power adjustable steering wheel. As you make your way into the QX55, you can see this whole dashboard is covered in leather, and it's just a really nice, clean, and minimalistic look to it. As for your center gauge cluster, nothing too crazy, just your typical stuff of course. Now I do wish that because this is a 2022 model, that this was a fully digital gauge cluster. I think that's a must-have moving forward in 2022 and beyond. But regardless, a very simple setup, and you also have a screen in the middle which you can move things around, have different menus and whatnot in front of you, so you don't have to take your eyes off of the road or look at your touchscreen on the side. As for your steering wheel, like I mentioned, not only is it a heated steering wheel, but it's a fully leather wrapped steering wheel as well. And again, you have more of that aluminum trim that continues on to even the steering wheel and around your controls that you have. On the left side of the steering wheel, you have your controls for the center gauge cluster, volume buttons, and your Bluetooth settings. Over on the right side of the steering wheel, you have controls for your cruise control settings, lane departure, and all of that good stuff. Behind your steering wheel on the left side, you've got your typical indicators and your high beam controls. And on the right side behind the steering wheel, you've got your typical front and rear windshield wiper controls and fluid. And if you look closely behind the steering wheel, you also have paddle shifters. Over on your center handrest, this is a fully leather handrest, just like your interior. But once you do go ahead and open up the center handrest, you do have a decent amount of room to put items in there, along with a USB port as well. So if you want to charge things in there and tuck them away, you can go ahead and do that. You've got quite a unique setup when it comes to your center console. But in front of your handrest, you do have your auto hold system, along with your electronic parking brake. Up by your gear shifter, it's a pretty unique setup because in order to put this vehicle in park, you physically have to press that P button, and it does take some time getting used to. Also, you do have different drive modes, your start stop button right on your center console, along with the camera button, map button, and then of course your knob for the touchscreen, which you can go through a bunch of different things, which I'll cover just in a second. Moving above all of that, you do have of course your two front cup holders, and moving further up, you do have a small little area to put of course small little things, along with two more USB ports and a 12-volt adapter. As we move on to finally the first screen in this vehicle, here is pretty much where you do everything in terms of radio, temperature, and all of that. that because you do have your side buttons, which are your actual hard buttons for the heating and cooling system, along with your heated seat buttons. So this screen right here is a 7-inch touchscreen. This is where you do majority of the stuff for the infotainment system. For example, like your audio, AM, FM, Sirius XM is all controlled through here, along with your climate control, which you can also use from here or the buttons on the sides. And then also through this screen, you enter your destination and all of that for your navigation. And you have other applications that you can kind of connect through. You have wireless Apple CarPlay, Google Android, your driver assistance, your phone pairing settings, and a few other applications regarding your Infiniti. Now, moving up to the top screen, this is your dedicated navigation screen, and this is your 8-inch touchscreen. Now, some people may think that this infotainment system is a little bit outdated, but it still does the job, and it's very, very easy to get used to. There's nothing complex about it where you have to scratch your head and think what you're doing. It's a very straightforward system. And could Infiniti got away with just having one main screen rather than two? Yes, but again, some people may prefer having it like this because you get two touchscreens in this vehicle, which is nice. And like the camera button I showed you near the gear shifter, this is where all of that information is displayed on the top screen, so you can see different angles of your QX55 along with a top view. So it makes it really easy when you're parking, getting out of spaces, and just your safety overall. Also, like I mentioned, your exterior mirrors do have cameras built in, so it makes parking even easier. As for the different drive modes that you can select, you have personal, sport, standard, and eco. So depending on how you want to drive this vehicle, you've got a couple of different options. Up top, you've got your dimmable rear view mirror with a bunch of different buttons on there for your home link and turning the dimmer on and off. Moving further up, you've got your typical dome lighting controls for the interior, your sunroof controls, and your SOS button. Coming over to the passenger side, in your glove department, you do have a decent amount of room to put a bunch of different things, and that's pretty much it. When it comes to what powers this QX55, it's your 2-liter turbocharged engine, which is going to give you 268 horsepower with 280 foot-pound of torque. As for the key fob on this QX55, very traditional Infiniti key. You've got your logo up top, remote start, lock, unlock, tailgate open, and your panic button. In terms of the window sticker for this QX55, there wasn't one available, but it's pretty straightforward as you have 3 different trim levels and each of them have very particular things that they offer. But when it comes to the pricing, it is being listed for a little over $60,000, and this is in Canadian dollars. Keep that in mind. And if the dealership is offering any discounts or the manufacturing offering any discounts, well, that does it for this 2022 Infiniti QX55 Essential ProAssist. Let me know in the comments down below, do you love this or do you hate it?